right. Hey, friends. Welcome to the Red X podcast. I am your host, Hannah Rabe. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Tony Martinez, over a 30-year veteran in the industry. He works in a very niche part of real estate. So we're super excited to have him on here, a topic we don't talk about a lot, which is pre-foreclosures. So Tony, welcome to the podcast. Please give us a brief description of what you focus on the last 30 years and how you help agents make a difference in their business.
Oh, Hannah, thank you so much for the opportunity. I love it. Yeah, I've been in the game a little bit, right? 30 years, seen a lot of wars, seen a lot of changes in the industry and everything else. But, what I primarily do, I actually wear several different hats. I am a co-team leader of a real estate team of 120 agents. So I am in the field every single day, helping our team members achieve what they need to achieve. But my passion is the teaching side. And that's where my Real Estate Advancement Institute comes in. And as part of this umbrella organization, I have the Certified Distressed Property Expert CDPE designation course. And now I also have the Military Residential Specialist certification course. So training agents, especially in these two niches, is what I live for.
I love that. What originally drew you to pre-foreclosures and military-focused training? And why did those niches still matter so much today, all these years later?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a funny story. Well, no, it didn't start off so funny. So, there was this thing called the Great Financial Crisis, during 2008, when basically the world came apart. I was one of those folks that was affected by it. I drank the Kool-Aid. I was out there investing in way too many properties and lost a few of them. I'm not afraid to mention that because I think transparency is important. And so that was a very difficult time. Now, around that same time, I was approached by another speaker that had acquired a short sale course. Yeah. And I had worked closely with the speaker to help them promote classes in the past. And I said, hey, you want to promote these classes? And I'm like, oh, what is a short sale? I didn't even know what a short sale was. And then so we start doing these classes. And I think that was around 2007 and all that. And yeah, we were getting people that came to the classes, and it was like a 3-hour course. And I started thinking, 3 hours is not enough. These agents are leaving with an appetite for more, and there wasn't really anything else. So I said, you know what I need to do? I need to create a certification. So I sat down and I said, the first thing you got to do is create a very cool name. Oh, Hannah, I created the most amazing name. You ready? Accredited Short Sale Specialist. Who wouldn't want to be an ASSS? And so I started looking at that and think I might get some pushback on that. So in the midst of maybe trying to come up with a different name, I get an email from the CDPE, Certified Distressed Property Expert, basically saying, why don't you take our short sale designation? I went, oh my God. You know what they say, when you can't beat them, you join them?
Yes.
And that's exactly what I did. Toward the end of 2008, I joined them. And it wasn't even initially to be a speaker. It was to be a promoter. But they gave me a shot, and I taught my first class in January of 2009. Must have done okay because from there I became their lead speaker, their trainer of speakers. Then I traveled the country. I traveled the country for 2.5 years and, teaching agents in just about every state what a short sale was and how to do it. So given the fact I know what it's like to lose a home in foreclosure, and I know how the lack of literacy in the industry is about this particular area, has always fueled my passion to help folks. Because look, you know what we're all about? If you can't help them stay in the property, help them exit with dignity, right? That's really what it's all about.
I love that. A lot of agents avoid these complex transactions because the conversations are hard and delicate. It's just really fear, the fear of the unknown. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Are you infringing on people's, personal space? This is delicate. What mindset shifts do you teach that agents really need to make in order to see a pre-foreclosure as an opportunity for them, and the homeowner exiting and the agent helping them, like you said, the dignity.
Yeah. That's a great question. I think one of my biggest concerns is, where are you coming from? Are you coming from a position of service? Do you want to help, or is it about making a buck?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that go with the latter, and they're all about, well, listen, what you could do is do this, and you can approach the homeowner, and you could do this and everything else. And I'm thinking, you really don't really care what that person is going through. So do you have a heart to serve? And that also translates to the military side too. Right. Do you have a heart to serve those that have served us? So if you're going to get into the pre-foreclosure space, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Do you really, really want to help people? And sometimes helping people means helping them stay in the home. You know what you make for staying in the home? Nothing. You know what you gain? Everything. So it really starts with the mindset. If the right mindset is there, we can build on that with the right training and coaching.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit the similarities or differences behind supporting someone in a pre-foreclosure situation versus a veteran. And then I know we had talked previously just about sometimes people are deterred from using a VA loan and other resources that they have as a veteran. Kind of share with me the similarities of supporting those two niche audiences versus maybe some of the differences.
Yeah, well, you know what I typically will explain to an agent is that the pre-foreclosure space is primarily a listing opportunity. It's an amazing listing opportunity, and if time permits, I would like to share, exactly why I feel so strongly about that. Working with the veterans typically is more from the buyer perspective. Of course, you're going to represent either an active military person or a veteran in a seller, but that's not usually a complex issue, more the buyer side. So it's really all about understanding where the roadblocks typically are.
Okay.
And are the roadblocks caused by maybe the consumer's lack of knowledge? But sadly, when it comes to both of these niches, it's the lack of education on the part of the real estate agents that's really terrifying to me. When I teach a class, the CDPE, oftentimes I'll tell people, look, you always need to run certain things by your brokerage because your brokerage may have some policies and forms in place that are specific to them. Now, I warn you, and I tell the agents, I'm going to warn you right now. Don't be surprised if you go back to your brokerage and your manager or your team leader or your broker says, no, 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 I don't want you working anywhere near pre-foreclosures or short sales. Absolutely not. I'll tell you why that is, because they don't understand it themselves. So the fact that they don't understand it, they don't want the agents engaged in that area because the agents are going to have questions that they will not be able to answer. So it's a lack of education. It's really what it comes down to.
So tell me, how does specialization, like becoming a certified distressed property expert or military residential specialist, change the way agents would show up in their market?
Confidence.
Okay.
One of the big things I'm striving for, I've been on a binge lately for the last 2 years. I just think that within the industry, we have too many general practitioners. At any given point, you have 1.2, 1.3 million, depending whose numbers you believe. That's okay. That's great. But at the end of the day, are you trying to be all things to all people?
Right.
And that's when I got the idea a while back to do a conference I actually called the Riches and Niches. And I just firmly believe that if you become a specialist, you are in a better position to convert leads into actual deals. I mean, think of it from a medical perspective. Who earns more money, a general practitioner or a specialist?
Yep.
Right? So I've just been on this thing like, okay, guys, you've tried being all things to all people, but now why don't we zero in on some areas that are typically ignored? And one of the most ignored niches out there are pre-foreclosures and short sales. Agents avoid them like the plague. And I can actually go into some specificity as to why, but it's both a problem and an opportunity for those that want to engage. There's not a lot of competition in that area.
Right. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the listing opportunity behind pre-foreclosures.
Well, here's one of the first things I want to make sure that everyone understands. A pre-foreclosure and a short sale are not necessarily synonymous, okay? And back in the day, back in 2008, 9, and 10, the vast majority of properties that were being lost to foreclosure, they were underwater. And in fact, maybe we owe it to your audience to explain what a short sale is.
Yeah, let's do it.
When somebody, in the perfect world, your loan balance is this much and you get to sell it for this much and you pocket the difference, right? Well, it's the complete opposite in a short sale situation. Their loan balance is way up here and their market price is way over here. So there's a negative. So what happens is we have to approach the bank with this incredible idea. Hey, bank, why don't you agree to lose a ton of money so that these folks can get on with their lives? And that was going on in 2008. No one knew what to do. And the CDP came on the scene and changed everything. But back then, the vast majority of properties in foreclosure were underwater properties. Now it's the complete opposite, at least for a while. Many of the homes that are being lost in foreclosure right now have equity, Hannah. Can you imagine a situation where someone that's sitting on equity
Right.
is, instead of listing with a knowledgeable real estate professional to help them get that property sold, walk away with as much money as they can, they actually bury their head in the sand. They're freaked out. They don't know what to do. Next thing you know, they're losing the home in foreclosure. And eventually, when they do get some money back, it's going to be far less because of all the fees and everything that the bank took out. So for a real estate agent that wants to engage in pre-foreclosures, understand there's pre-foreclosures with equity, but there's a growing number of pre-foreclosures that are underwater or soon will be.
Okay.
And you need to be skilled at how to engage someone that is a possible short sale.
Yeah, we had seen, we watch all this. We're data aggregators.
Right.
So, and then we do a lot of just, watching KCM, Atom, different resources for data on top of ours to kind of see, is what we're seeing trending the same as everybody else. And I had read on Atom that from December to January, 52% increase in pre-foreclosures.
Yep.
So it just, that wave feels like it's coming back, which is scary. But you're right. When we look inside of each lead, as we call them, inside of Vortex with our platform, you can see the data insights. And so you can see exactly what you're talking about. Is this person underwater, or do they have a ridiculous amount of equity? So this makes the conversation even easier for an agent to go into it, to understand the situation of the property and the homeowner, where they are in that. Are they in the one extreme where they're underwater, or do they have a lot of equity and you just need to help them cash out because they can't make their payment right now due to whatever is going on in their circumstance? So I love that you just explained that difference. But let's talk more about the listing opportunity a little bit more. So this is a growing opportunity that we're seeing. How do we know when an agent, so they go through the certification, how do we know when an agent is really, I guess my question is, do people go through the certification and ever leave and you're like, that's not the right lead type for you? Can anyone do this, or are there certain personality types, certain types of agents, like who excels at this more delicate lead type?
Okay, well, listen, let me unpack that. So a lot of great points there. Let's all start with, everyone can have this. There's a reason why everyone showed up at the class, right? And I always ask them their why. Why are you here? And typically it does come down to people wanting to serve. Now, I'll give you an example. I had someone at a recent class that before we even started, she goes, hey, if you know anybody that's losing their home, you let me know. I can offer them cash and we can work something out. And I decided to keep an eye on this person. Next thing you know, as we engage in the conversation, I'm teaching them all about the motivations, the problems, the issues that people are facing, what their hardships are and everything else. It really came down to also a conversation about people being taken advantage of. And she was one of those people.
Yeah.
She was one of those people that they go in and they say, look, you're in a bind right now. Let me offer you $5,000. I'll take care of everything from here. You don't have anything to worry about. And usually those things end up in a very, very negative place for those sellers. If the person has equity, instead of trying to list the property and sell it for as much as possible so that person can walk away with something and restart their life, that person wants to go ahead and do something where maybe they wholesale that property, or they try to do something that they could end up sharing in that equity. And I can't stand that. I truly can't stand that. You know what? If you're an investor, God bless you, and you want to do this, that's fine. But don't take my course. Don't become a CDPE to go out there and not serve. So I think that ultimately someone has to say, yeah, there's ways out there that I can make more money on this transaction. But is it ethical? It may be legal, but is it ethical for me as a real estate professional to engage in that type of activity? And those are the people that when I spot them, I usually say, listen, there's no place in our community for someone like you.
I like that. So it sounds like everyone can be taught how to do this and succeed. What common mistakes do you see people when they're getting started?
Excuse me. That's a good one. Have you ever heard the saying, you could spend your entire day in the garage and it doesn't make you a Chevy?
Yes.
Yeah, you're probably too young, but What happens is you come and you sit through the course and you earn the initials. That's only the beginning.
Yeah.
The designation wants you to, you learn by doing.
Experience.
You learn by repetition. It's such a complex topic that to sit through a class, or whether you're doing it live and in person, or I teach it online on demand, I teach it live virtually, I have to understand that that's the beginning of your journey. And I think the challenge, the biggest mistakes that people make is they don't engage in that arena immediately while it's fresh.
Oh.
They go home and get ready to get ready to get ready. It's analysis paralysis. So if you're going to do it, you got to jump in. Now, here's the thing. The second mistake they make, they try to wing it alone. You can't. One of the things I teach, that if you're going to be successful, especially in the short sale arena, you need to surround yourself with a team of experts, negotiators, the right title company, appraisers, contractors, individual inspection companies. These are all the people, foreclosure defense attorneys, that you need to surround yourself with, right? So the training is constant. Now, last but not least, don't operate on a live subject. Surgeons operate on cadavers when they're going through college for a reason. Real estate agents want to jump in there and screw up everything right out of the gate. No, role play with other agents, role play with family members, friends. Get comfortable with the dialogue so that you can become effective at what you do. Make sense?
Yes. All right. Can you walk us through a simple daily or weekly habit that successful agents with pre-foreclosures consistently follow? Now we can get a little bit deeper now into listing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think I can help you with that. I think one of the things that's imperative, and I think is something that agents struggle with typically, is time blocking.
Okay.
Your prospecting needs to be intentional, not occasional. And what happens is marketing and prospecting are two different things. In my view, when you market, you're throwing stuff against the wall and you're hoping that something sticks, right? If you send a letter to someone that's in pre-foreclosure, or a postcard, that's marketing.
Yeah.
But if you knock on the door or you call, that's prospecting, which is more difficult. Prospecting. Right. So what happens is you have to be intentional. It doesn't matter how many hours per week you have to devote to it. You just have to know what percentage of your time you will devote to it. So here's a little strategy that I teach in my class. If you don't mind, I'll share it here.
Absolutely.
People will ask all the time, where do I find these leads? I go,
Right.
It's public record. I recommend RedX because all the data is there. I mean, I know it's a shameless plug for you guys, but I've been using you all for years, for crying out loud. You guys make it so easy, right? Not only are you scrubbing all the numbers against the do not call list, oftentimes you have multiple numbers. So maybe one number's on a do not call list and the other one isn't. You're providing email addresses, you're providing information about how much they owe. So now I can implement email marketing, I can implement social media marketing. I'm doing a stop foreclosure webinar in a few weeks that is geared toward consumers. Guess how I target them through social media? I take the list from RedX, I upload it to Vortex, and I target them directly. Go figure, right? Yeah. But here's what they need to do. This is critical. You need to go ahead and draw 3 columns on a sheet of paper, A, B, and C. A, B, and C. Under A, put 70%. Under B, put 20%. And under C, put 10%. And then you work backwards. You go, what the heck does that mean? Always start with folks that have a sale date.
Okay.
So what happens is 70% or whatever amount of time you're going to spend in this niche, you do it going after people that already have a sale date. You know why? They're almost out of time. They should be out of excuses.
Makes sense.
We're competing against 2 words, free rent. When someone is not paying their mortgage, more often than not, they're going to try to extend that situation as long as they can. So what happens is someone that's early in the process will not be receptive to your message. So if you spend 70% of your time going after folks that have like weeks, if not days, and then you go ahead and say, what's the 20% for? Well, those are folks that are already officially in the foreclosure process. It's now public record, but they don't have a sale date yet.
Okay.
And
So is that, tell me
Mhm.
what that looks like now. Is that a notice of default has been sent?
Okay,
Okay.
so, great question. So the fact that the notice of default has been sent doesn't necessarily imply that there's already a sale date. That's usually the beginning part. So depending upon the states, because foreclosures are handled differently depending what state you're in, it could be a notice of default, it could be a less pendants, it can be, a complaint notice, but usually, and I do also recommend that anybody wanting to engage in this area become very well versed in how the foreclosure process works in those individual states,
Yeah.
so that you can gauge how much time there is. But eventually, it will be public record that there's an actual auction or sale date. And for most states, that's game over day. There's typically no redemption rights. A couple states are different, like Michigan and Minnesota, but most of the time when it's the sale date, that's it. They've lost the property. So what you want to do is zero in on the folks that have the least amount of time so that you can engage them, get them to sign a listing agreement, and then implement what I teach in terms of, well, we may have to get that sale date delayed. We need to get it under contract as quickly as possible. And then the 10% is folks you don't even know exist. And what happens is typically lists are not available for folks that are just behind on their payments.
Okay.
It's normally lists that are already public record that they are actually in foreclosure. So the way you help folks you don't even know is through social media. You need to get out there and you need to go be very vocal about helping people to realize that there's an option. And can I share a quick little thing that I teach in the class on doing that?
This is your floor.
Yeah, so I tell people, I go, look, just make believe I'm doing, and you don't have to do Facebook Live. You can record it. But if I go, hey, everyone, Tony Martinez here, your local real estate professional. And you know what? Today's message is going out to anybody that's behind on their payments or facing foreclosure, or is somebody that you know. Listen, I have a passion for helping folks in these situations. There may be options available to stay. And sometimes if you have no choice but to leave, we try to help you exit with dignity. Look, if this is you or someone you know, just give them my information or reach out to me. I just want to leave you with this. Foreclosure is not the only option. And that's how you do it.
I love that.
That's how you do it. And then you're consistent about that. You're consistent about that. So it becomes a part, because what happens is someone sees that post and says, that's me.
Yeah.
Or says, go figure. Next thing you know, someone's bringing up the fact that they're behind on their payments, and they go, wait a minute, I just saw a post from a guy that might be able to help you.
I love that. You're clearly passionate about what you do. So, okay, let's see. I think we're going to wrap up here. I got a couple more questions. So as markets shift and affordability changes, things continue down a path. How do you see pre-foreclosure, short sales, shaping opportunities over the next couple of years? Where do you see the market going right now is kind of my question.
Well, the industry tries to be optimistic. So for example, when you see the data, data can be interpreted a couple different ways, right? So the data right now is definitely stating that foreclosures are on the rise. But see, I'm the kind of person, I guess I'm not a doomsday person. I'm not running around saying it's the end of the world, it's the end of the world. But let me frame it this way. I'm usually asked two questions when I'm at a show or something like that, right? Someone will say, hey, yeah, man, so are foreclosures back? And I will say, well, you know what? They never went away. Yeah, man, yeah, I know, but is it going to be as bad as it was before? And I go, well, for someone going through it, bad enough.
Yeah.
Why is the industry so focused on, does it need to be as bad as 2008? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. When you look at the data as it stands right now, the numbers are increasing. We are not yet at pre-foreclosure, pre-COVID numbers. Okay, so we're not even back to pre-COVID numbers yet, much less 2008, 9, and 10. I have no reason to believe that it's ever going to be that bad, but I don't know. I have every reason to believe that it should be at least back to pre-COVID numbers. Now, if anybody spends any time following the data, they know there was a lot of things manipulating the foreclosure numbers. There was a lot that was being done behind the scenes to keep FHA borrowers in their home.
Yeah.
That program has expired. There was a lot going on to keep VA mortgages in place. That program has expired. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that if I'm not careful, I can come across as, well, it's going to be terrible, right? No, I don't know that. What I do see is a continued rise in foreclosure activity. And it's all local. If you want to get a gauge, take a gauge of what's going on with the economy in your local area. Are you seeing more layoffs? Are you seeing more downsizing?
Yeah.
These things are factors. So the way I look at it is this is a niche that will always be there, because so long as there are mortgages, there will be foreclosures. And as I look at it right now, the industry refuses to accept the fact that these foreclosures are real. I think they're afraid that they're going to come across like, well, prices are going to tank and all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm saying is I don't focus on what's coming so much as what opportunities exist right now.
Yes.
Have them pull the data for what their county, their city, their area is, and watch how many foreclosures there are there that they didn't even think existed.
Yeah, we can do that. If you guys have questions and you're interested in pre-foreclosures, call us, let us know your county. We can pull what's happened in the last 30, 60, 90 days and give you some insight there. We typically, there are, as Tony explained, the differences in how the data comes into us based on the different county and the different state, how they process foreclosures and stuff.
Yeah.
But we're happy to share that data with you also if you give a call into sales. But last question, if you had to give a piece of advice to agents to future-proof their business, and you kind of touched on that a second ago, but regardless of market conditions, like what can agents do to future-proof their business no matter what?
Positioning. I think positioning is key. If you have positioned yourself as an expert in your field or fields, I think that that's just going to stand the test of time.
Fair.
Agents are concerned about a lot of things. Is AI going to replace us? No. Agents using AI will probably replace agents that are not using AI. So I think what we need to do is we look at the landscape and we say technology can be our friend, is our friend. Okay, let's incorporate resources. Like, for example, I could go look up all the data myself right now through the courthouse and go through reams of content, or I can just go ahead and subscribe to Redx and have it all ready for me right there. Okay, so what do you think is going to be better off for me having the data right there?
Your time is
But
fine.
I think that regardless of whichever someone's passion is, someone, and I respect, someone said, Tony, I'm not into the whole short sale pre-foreclosure thing, but the military thing interests me. Okay, great. I look at it like they're kind of intertwined because there's going to be a lot of VA loans that are going to go into foreclosure.
Okay.
So here you are, like you want to service the needs of veterans. Okay, well, yeah, you can service the needs as a buyer representative, but also from a selling perspective, what about all the veterans that are going to have to help sell homes that are not going to have any equity or are needing to sell it because they're behind on their payments? But there's a lot of shiny objects out there. What I would recommend for anybody right now is someone said, Tony, listen, my business is we're stuck. I don't know what to do. I says, okay, well, do you remember a time when you were unstuck? And I says, yeah. What was the landscape then? And I have to say, well, you know what? In 2021, 2022, I was just making money hand over fist. I go, okay, well, those days are gone. So I go, so what do I do right now? Okay, commit to prospecting and marketing. You have to set aside a budget for both. Secondly, have a good CRM. Have a good CRM because you need to make sure that these leads do not fall through the cracks. And then third, pick a niche or two. Get the best possible training in that area. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals and don't be afraid to go out there. I was coaching one of my gals the other day and I go, who's afraid to prospect? And she goes, I am. I go, you are? I go, yeah. I go, well, they can't hurt you physically, right? They can't reach across the phone and hurt you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I go, you know what I'm afraid of? I mean, this was in front of 60 of my agents. You know what I'm afraid of? I'm afraid of losing my house because I can't make my payments because I'm not making real estate work. I'm afraid of having my car repossessed. I'm afraid of going to a child, your child, my child, and saying, I really wanted to be at that event you had with school, that that outing, the field trip, but I have to work.
Mm.
I'm afraid of losing that flexibility. So if you want to fear something, fear the ramifications of not doing this business the right way.
Yeah.
Embrace the fact that there are challenges. It's okay to be nervous. Every time I go on stage, I'm nervous before I go on there. My wife says, "Are you crazy? You do this 100 times." I go, "That's okay. I never want to stop being nervous."
Yeah.
But the minute I'm on, you're on.
Yeah.
Right? Practice, role play. It's not practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect.
I love that wisdom from Tony, you guys. Tony, thank you so much for joining us. Please share how our listeners can contact you if they're interested in one of the more niche certifications that you have.
Well, as of right now, my wife won't let me buy any other ones or create any more because she says, you're busy enough. But right now, my focus definitely is on the pre-foreclosure short sales and also the military residential specialist. You can go to any of our websites. If you go to REAI Now, which stands for Real Estate Advancement Institute Now, REAInow.com, you'll have access to both. Wonderful. Somebody that says, hey, I want to find out more about the CDPE. Well, and you go to CDPE, not COPD, that's a disease, CDPE designation.com. And for someone that wants to find out about the military, we go with G-O, Milres, MILRES.com.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for joining us, for listening. If you're interested in trying pre-foreclosures, call into the Red X sales team, mention Tony Martinez from this podcast, and you'll get 20% off your first month of pre-foreclosures. Let us know if we can help you guys. We're here to serve, just the way you're there to serve sellers and buyers. We're here to serve you. So let us know how we can help. Tony,
anything else? One last thing, yeah. Hannah. I'm glad you brought up the discount thing. If they reach out to us and they mention that they found out about us through your podcast, we'll take care of them. We'll give them a discount as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, you guys heard it. Tony's got a discount out there. We do too. So let us know if we can do anything else to help. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much, Tony.
My pleasure. Take care.